everyone. Welcome to Getting Organized on how to be a PDC. Can everyone see the webinar? The PowerPoint presentation.
You know what? Give me a second.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
I can't, but I'm hoping other people can.
Yes. Yes, it's there.
Sorry. Great. You can see it? Okay, great. All right. So we're going to work through how to get organized as a PDC and the best organizational tips for each of you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is sort of create a PDC calendar, an organizational calendar, if you will. And you're going to use the chapter and campus calendar report to populate the dates for each chapter at the beginning of the semester. Those are already on the Kappa Cloud. You would look under 2015, 2016 campus and calendar reports under visiting reports. And there should be one for each of your chapters. We've checked to make sure that hopefully each of them has put it there so that we could create the LC schedule. And you're going to see the important dates like recruitment, initiation, fireside, Founders Day celebrations. All of those things should be in there. Go ahead and put those on your PDC organizational calendar so that you know what's happening with each of your chapters. Now is a great time to do that because it's sort of quiet right now, but come August, you're going to have a lot of emails and a lot of questions from your chapters. So go ahead and be prepared. You're also going to look at each report that you receive and see who's actually getting it. You're going to try to figure out what to do with that report. So if it's only you and the RDC getting the report, you are expected to review the report and give feedback to the chapter. If there's questions in it, if there's things that sort of concern you, provide that feedback and get answers from the chapter. Looking at key reports. So you're going to receive an email whenever a report is submitted on key reports. A lot of our reports now are submitted directly to key reports, which is very useful. It keeps things organized. Things like the chapter officer list, the advisory board list, the house board list, the recruitment report, the loss of new member, application for permission to initiate, the list of new members, initiation report, and then the academic excellence report. So whenever these are submitted, you're going to receive an email notification. You can go in and look at that. Hopefully, you sort of know when these due dates are, and you know when to look for them. At least one of your chapters will submit the report, hopefully, and sort of put a red flag that you should be looking for the other chapters. So on these, you're going to go in, look at them, give feedback as necessary. One thing we do want to draw your attention to with the academic excellence report, the final question is something along the lines of what can the fraternity do to help the chapter. So with that, we would like the PDC to sort of pick up that piece for now and reply back, see how we can help them, put them in touch with the resources they need, whether it be something that you can help them with or something that we can refer them to the academic excellence specialist for their region. There are certain reports that we have not put on key reports yet. Associate membership and special status applications, the new member program reports, the new member program planning reports, and then chapter newsletters, obviously, isn't really a report, but something you may receive. When you receive these reports, we'd like for you to post them on the cloud. It's a good way for you to have them all in one place and for the fraternity to have them for backup. You can still keep them in your inbox too and file them within your Gmail or however you want to do that. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but go ahead and put them on the cloud. So as a PDC, you sort of need a Kappa closet, as we like to call it. In that Kappa closet, you're going to have file folders with the key history about the chapter. So each file folder for the chapter should have council action letters, letters from the university, any other letters they've received. I know I've seen some really old letters, LC type visits or other alumni visits, and some of these may be electronic. So you may not actually have a hard copy file folder to hold on to, but you should still have the history of the chapter A lot of previous PDCs have started scanning these just to keep up with not having so much paper around. You should also have your ritual book, your PDC badge, and then printouts of what you're going to use a lot. So the fraternity documents are a good thing to have, the bylaws, standing rules, and policies, and then of course the merged index, which is a great tool to have. You want to have those printed so that you can tab them, highlight them, make notes. There's going to be certain sections that you're always going to, and that'll sort of become apparent to you, so it's good to have it printed out. It's also a good idea to have those downloaded to your desktop so that you can go in and look at them electronically too. You can then copy and paste them into an email. It's a little easier than typing out long sections of the bylaws. But please don't pass along any manuals that you have. If you've received any, such as the NPC Green Book, the CAPA Leadership Guides, a PDC manual, anything like that, you can go ahead and shred those or recycle them, because all of these are on the website and what you're receiving is already out of date. So we want to make sure we're using the most up-to-date copy. So look at the website and we can find that information. You're also going to have electronic resources. So we've talked about like your physical resources, but now the electronic resources. A lot of PDCs use a flash drive so they can take it with them. A lot of people also use a Dropbox account. If you're not familiar with Dropbox, it's an online storage cloud where you can access it from anywhere. But you want to use these for files that are not going onto the CAPA cloud. So things that you're still working on, things that you're sharing, any of that stuff. These are easy for you to have access to anywhere. So if you need to pull up something off the flash drive, you can have that, or on Dropbox. A lot of PDCs now also have a PDC email account. If you choose to use one, it's a good idea. They've been passed down. You may have already received one passed down from the previous PDC. It's a good way to keep your PDC files and emails separate from your personal emails and accounts. And then you're also going to use the CAPA website. There's going to be questions you have about different forms or something, a leadership guide. Go ahead and go to the CAPA website, find that information. It's easy to do.
Okay, thanks, Meredith. I just wanted to double check. Amanda, do we have any questions right now?
We do not have any questions right now.
Okay, great. And we just want to let you guys know, as we're going along, if you have a question, just go ahead and type it in, and Amanda is monitoring those, and she'll let us know, and we'll stop and try and take care of that. So as you can see, you're going to try and make all of this happen. And yes, there are days that we are all pulling our CAPA hair out. But we want you to know that we're all here for you. All of us as RDCs have been in your position as a PDC, so we understand some of the frustrations and the learning curve. So we're here to help you figure this all out and how to get by. So you're going to go from working with one chapter that you know probably fairly well to managing 3 to 4 chapters that you may not know at all. And it can be kind of a challenge. So we want you to make sure that you're going to find a system to help organize you to get through this. Some people love to use electronic tools. That could be Google, Gmail, email, any type of applications that are going to help you stay organized electronically. Other people like to use paper calendar. I am one of those. I'm visual. I like to be able to see my month at a glance and see what's going on and all various things. I color code. So that's just the way I like to do it. There are also report grids that you can find on the website that kind of tell you when reports are due, and that's under the PDC What to Do When, and that'll help you out there too. So just kind of figure out what's going to be best and what's going to work best for you, and you'll want to start using that. You're going to want to request to be on all of your chapter listservs. This is really good. This is another way that's going to give you kind of an idea of what's going on in the chapters. Some of their listservs are very well monitored. Only one person sends out something to the listserv. Maybe it's the VPO. Other chapters, everybody can send out things to the listserv. Kind of serves 2 purposes. It's good for you to be on there so that the chapters know that the PDC is on there and is aware of what is going on in the chapter. but it also helps you, like I said, to know what is happening in that chapter, kind of what the pulse is on that chapter, how they do things, how they kind of work on things. You're also going to set up calendar alerts of some kind, whether it's in the Google Calendar and have it send you an email when a report is due or when a major chapter event is happening. We talked about at ACS that, we have different seasons of the year now. We have recruitment, initiation, elections, that sort of thing. You're going to want to have those dates on your calendar. You'll want to know when your chapters are recruiting, when's their bid day, when is initiation. Hopefully it's 6 to 8 weeks after they've given out their bids. When are they going to have an LC visit? Who is that LC and what chapter is she going to be visiting and what does she need to know about them? You're also going to want to save important yellow page contacts into your email contacts and phone. I just finished updating the new LC team into my phone and my email contacts so that I have that. These are going to be resources you need for the moment. So you'll want your RDC's information, the Director of Chapters, Director of Standards, Director of Membership, your NPC delegate. These are the main people that if an issue comes up, you'll be reaching out to. So it's really helpful to have that email address in there or their phone number so that you're not trying to get access to the website, get onto the yellow pages, and try and get that all figured out. Communication is going to be the key to your success. We can't stress that enough. You need to know who you're communicating to and the different types of communication. So when you're communicating, are you communicating to other fraternity representatives, university officials? Are you communicating with your peers, another PDC, PDA, etc.? Are you talking with your chapters, the advisory board and house board, or parents? So you'll just kind of need to direct your communication to the best person and make sure that you're communicating appropriately with that. And there's going to be different types of communicating, phone, email, text. And you have to find out not only what works for you, but it's going to work for that other person. So you may be setting up initial calls with your chapter presidents and the chapter council advisors just to introduce yourself, kind of talk through some things, and let them know, I prefer to be contacted via email unless it's an emergency, then text or call me. Your chapter president may respond back that she never really looks at email unless she gets a text telling her to look at her email. So you're just going to need to figure that out and how that works. I do want to stress that as a PDC, your main contact with the chapter is going to be that chapter president. The chapter council advisor is there to help, but your main contact is with that chapter president. So when do you partner up? When do you need to have those email contacts and phone numbers and utilize them? Anytime there's a university issue of any kind, doesn't matter what it may be, it may seem minor, we want to partner up with that. Call your RDC and kind of go from there. Parent phone calls. We are happy to field those phone calls or pass them on to the appropriate council member that needs to discuss anything with the parent. That's perfectly fine. Anytime you get a request for chapter information by outside groups. So sometimes you will have campus awards programs, and a lot of them sometimes can use this as a fishing expedition. Explain your standards process to us. Explain your new member program. As we talk about at ACS, there are certain things that we do and do not share outside of the organization. So you'll want to partner up with somebody on that and figure out what can and cannot be shared. What can we talk to them about? Standards issues, questions. There's always somebody wanting to know about that. Go ahead and partner up with that to the director of standards or one of her assistants. And then there's grade exceptions. We'll have those for officers. And then you also may be asked for grade exceptions for recruitment. This is going to be a conversation you'll want to have with your RDC because per our policies, the RDC, the PDC in consultation with the RDC is asked for grade exceptions for recruitment and for officers. So just kind of figure out how your RDC wants to do that, kind of questions, concerns that may come up around that. What to partner down. So this is when, you're going to talk with your chapters, your chapter officers, your advisors. Reports are due and you're not getting anything from them. You'll want to contact them. EPFs, these can sometimes be so much fun to deal with. when you're trying to get specifics and requirements and documentation and that sort of thing. And sometimes these can come down to the wire. Your regional risk management specialist will always keep you in the loop as the PDC as to where things stand, if she's still requiring documents from the chapter. So just realize you may be asked to kind of help get that information from the chapter if the regional risk management person isn't getting a response. So need it now and it can wait. So need it now responses. Anytime, like we said, there's a university issue, we want to escalate that. That's important. So go ahead and partner that up immediately. Parent calls. It could be a very simple call. It could be a very upset parent. Go ahead and partner up with that, and that should be an immediate response. Media calls the same way, standards concerns. Media calls, I will just say that you'll want to contact the RVC, and then we'll be reaching out usually to the fraternity vice president, Elizabeth Bailey, about that. And standards concerns, from a chapter woman, from parents, anyone else, go ahead and mark that as a kind of an emergency and partner up with that. Responses that can wait. If you've got a regular question coming in from a chapter, they're throwing out an idea of trying to do something, or, hey, what do you think about this? Or we thought we might try this. That's something that can usually wait. You don't need to be checking your email and constantly answering things like that. Response to chapter minutes and reports. So we talked a little bit at ACS about maybe setting aside one evening or sometime on the weekend every week that you're just going to make sure that you're going to go through and basically kind of clean out your inbox. That'll be a good time to go through your chapter minutes, your chapter council minutes, read through standards minutes. It's a good time, again, to get a pulse on your chapter, kind of what's happening, maybe what's not happening. Any reports that you have received, those are it can wait responses. Yes, the report may have been due on the 1st, but it's okay for you not to follow up for a few days, all right? All right, Meredith.
All right, so you may be a little bit overwhelmed about the amount of documents we have and maybe a PowerPoint or two that you've looked at. So electronic files. We're going to use the Kappa Cloud for certain documents. So anything that you get that's a final report, we're going to put in the Kappa Cloud. We can refer to the list of reports that you should be including. We also want to note that already in the Kappa Cloud are the PowerPoint presentations from ACS. So if you have any questions or you have you want to check a fact from a PowerPoint that you know you saw at ACS, you can find that information under PDC resources and then ACS PowerPoints. Other electronic files, so things that aren't final that you need access to from anywhere, you're going to want to put those on a flash drive or a Dropbox like we talked about. The Kappa Cloud is a great resource. It's great for us to file things, but if it's something you're currently working on, it's hard to download it, it changes, re-upload it, all of that stuff. So we just kind of want final versions on the cloud. If you need access to it, I'd go ahead and have some other type of access. You can also do, like I said, a Dropbox account that can stay with your email account. So that way you don't have to mail everything at the end of the term. Go ahead and save it to your Dropbox account, and then that can be passed on. We also want to, as I said before, we want to understand the historical view of each of the chapters. So you probably have a hard copy file or an electronic file with all of the council action letters, all of any other letters that you may have about each chapter. We want to know where the chapter has been so that we can look forward and think about where the chapter needs to go. So one tip is just to pick a night or pick a weekend this summer and pick one chapter to go through and sit through those old documents. Some of them can be kind of interesting. Read through them, see what problems the chapter has faced, what good things the chapter has done in the past so that we can build on those things and we can make the chapter even stronger. Another thing to look at is we've started the chapter evaluation process. So each chapter is evaluated yearly at the end of the year in May. We've started sharing that information with our chapters. And so we're going to talk about that in a later webinar. But you can look at last year's and sort of see the areas of concern, their high points, and the previous PDC should have talked with the chapter and helped them set goals for the upcoming year. So make sure you look at those and help the chapter go back to those goals a couple times during the year of, are we working on our ritual, if that was something that maybe was an area of concern, and that will help move the chapter forward also. Finally, as I just mentioned, the chapter gets evaluated at the end of each year. To help that process, you as a PDC are doing a PDC evaluation that's due in November and also one that's due in April. So there's already blank versions of this on the CAPA website. You can go ahead and download it, but it's good to maintain a draft version within your own account so that you can start writing notes in it. So at the end of April or in November, you're not sitting there thinking, I know there was something about ritual that bothered me, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Go ahead and start that process so that you can have it, make it easier for you at the end, and also so that you don't forget things. There may be something that's a huge area of concern right now, but come November, it's worked itself out. That's fine too, but it's good to go ahead and work on those. And then we absolutely love Google. If you don't use Google or you don't use Gmail, it's a great resource to have. All of the RDCs have a Gmail account, as you may have noticed, and we're able to share documents amongst each other with a Google Drive. But we're also, the great thing about Gmail is we're able to pass down our email accounts. So you should have 2 years of emails still saved in your account, and you can search them if there's a problem with a certain chapter or a certain member. You can do a search through your Gmail and see if there's any other correspondence along about that member or that chapter situation. It gives you a little bit of history so you're not starting fresh every 2 years. A good tip, though, is to use a personal label. There may be some conversations that you have with RDCs or PDCs that you don't necessarily want to pass down to the next PDC. Go ahead and label those personal now so that as they happen, you know that, and then you can save them for now, and then before you pass down your Gmail account or another email account, you can go ahead and delete those. It's also a good idea to have a waiting for response label. So we're all volunteers, and sometimes things get lost in our inbox. So you may have something that you need to respond to a chapter about, but you've asked a question of an RDC, NPC delegate, the director of standards, someone else. So go ahead and have that waiting for response label so it's a clue to you that you may need to follow up with someone else to get the answer back to the chapter. It helps you not lose things within your email account. If you're unfamiliar with Gmail, one of us can help you learn the tips and tricks with it. It's a great tool to use if you send emails out to all of your chapter presidents. You can label it with all 3 or 4 chapters instead of having just one file that things go into. There's ways to automatically set up labels, so if it's coming from a certain chapter, it comes in a certain color, things like that. If you have questions about it, one of us is happy to sit down with you. The previous PDC can help you. Another PDC can help you. Just ask. And then also within Google, there's a Google Calendar. So Missy was talking about creating your own personal calendar. You can do that within Google. You can do a hard copy. But it's a good idea to put some of this stuff in a Google Calendar like the LC visits, where it'll automatically generate an email to your inbox. You can have that done whenever you want. Our suggestion is about 10 days before the LC visit, just to remind you. So maybe it will pop up on your phone, in your other calendar, but it's good to have it in an actual email that you have to open and read for your Google Calendar also. So there's a couple other PDC responsibilities that we just wanted to go through. You may have seen the email, I think there was one last week, about chapter and alumni association anniversaries. Within our CAPA policies, it suggests that every PDC, PDA, RDC, RDA, all official family should be sending greetings to chapters and alumni associations within their region that have an anniversary. So Kelly McGarrick's is great and sends out these reminders of when the anniversaries are coming up, And you should send an email, or if you want to do snail mail, that's always appreciated too. Just a greeting. Congratulations on your anniversary that's coming up. It's great to have you as an alumni association, as a chapter, all of that stuff. You're also going to get a lot of headquarters emails. Check to see who it was sent to. Usually at the bottom, it tells you the distribution list. Some are very officer-specific and officer-targeted emails, so it was sent just to the chapter president, just to the education chair. You're usually copied on all of those. You should be copied on all of those. So just check and see who it was sent to. And then if there's an action item in there, maybe give it a week or two and then follow up with those that received it just to make sure the action was completed. Again, remember you're representing the fraternity. So know that when you're interacting with parents, when you're interacting with university officials, all of those things, that you need to be on the same page with others within the fraternity. So know that, have a talk with your RDC beforehand, make sure we're on the same message, all of that. And finally, chapter visits. So go ahead and make a plan with your RDC about which chapters you're gonna visit and when. Go ahead and start planning your fall visits. Fall happens so quickly, you won't believe it. We as the RDCs and Fraternity Council are making the strong suggestion and expectation that if a chapter was not visited last year, then they need to be visited this year. We know that there may be only 1 year to your PDC term, depending on what happens at convention with the vote of the new bylaws. So we want to make sure we're getting our visits in. You are expected to do a chapter visit with every chapter in your province during the biennium. But since it may only be 1 year, we're expecting you to visit any chapter that was not visited last year. It's a great way to get your foot in the door, make that personal contact, and for them to see you as an actual person and not just an email address, someone that they can call if there is trouble. They're not afraid to call.
And
I just want to check.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I had one last thing I wanted to add. All of the leadership guides are currently being updated, and they should be on the website. I say should. We're hoping that they're all proofed and edited and uploaded to the website by mid-August. So just realize if you're going through some of those leadership guides and reading through them and something doesn't seem right, it's probably not updated yet, and we have the RDC team has gone through and updated all of that, and we're planning for mid-August. It could be up to late August, but all of the leadership guides will be updated with the most correct information.
And since we are updating them, we'll try to have headquarters send out an email to chapter officers and you guys so that you know when the updated versions are up there and you can go on and look at them. So I just wanted to check and see if there were any questions so far.
We don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. So I think we wanted to pass along our email addresses in case you do have any questions. Mine's kkgrdc3@gmail, and Missy is kkgrdc5@gmail. If you have any questions tonight, we're going to stay on for a few minutes. Feel free to type those in, and we're happy to answer them. If there's something else that you think of later, feel free to email either of us or your own RDC, and we will get you up and running and hopefully have an organized and great start to your term as a PDC.
Thank you to our presenters, Meredith and Missy, for leading the session tonight, and thank you for your participation. If you have any questions or comments about tonight's topic, you may email the presenters directly with the emails that are provided on the slide you are viewing right now, or you can find their information in the Kappa Yellow Pages. As we close the webinar, a survey will open on your screen. You will be prompted to respond to a few evaluation questions. Please take a moment to share your thoughts on tonight's webinar. Your feedback will help us shape future webinar training events. If you have any additional questions or comments whatsoever, please send an email to Karen Holmes, kholmes@kkg.org. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.